Phil Collins, known to a lot of people as music's Mr. Nice Guy, which is a pretty rare creature in the world of music. He's a drummer who sings, went on to sell over 100 million albums, and he's back after 6 years with a new one. It's called Testify. I sat down with Phil Collins in Toronto to talk about everything from parenthood to politics. What did you find out about yourself with Testify, which seems, as a listener, so optimistic?
Well, it is. That's the way I feel. I mean, I must admit, I'm very pessimistic about things out there on the street. But in terms of my life, I'm very optimistic. I mean, little things, I guess it's a period in your life when you arrive at a certain point when you think, oh, then you just start to enjoy what you're at, as opposed to looking around the corner and seeing what might be there and looking back and enjoying what was there. I kind of am here now, enjoying what I'm doing. But you're such an open book. Don't you ever get gun shy? I mean, the press wasn't so kind at periods of your life. No, it's you see, the thing is that my solo career started off by accident because I went through a divorce. I started writing songs that weren't therapeutical, actually, weren't cathartic. I just started writing songs to take my mind off what else was going on in my life. And I just bought some equipment, so I was kind of half trying to make sure that I could control that, get that working, kind of half enjoying myself with the songs that were obviously, some of them were just how I felt about what was going on in my life. Some of them were angry, some of them were sad, some of them were cynical. And that album actually sees me coming out of that misery, in a way, to some of the happier stuff. Is that in the air tonight? What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, all of those songs, and this is kind of what I'm getting at with the being embarrassed about the openness of the kind of what they're about. In the Air was just spontaneous. I'd written the chords and I had it on tape, and I thought, okay, well, like with Genesis, we used to do the vocals last. With my thing here, I'm going to put the vocals on straight away so that everything else fits in with it. So I started singing, I can feel it coming in the air. I didn't think about how, wow, what's happening here. I just sang all those lyrics spontaneously. I mean, I've never done that ever since. But all those lyrics were not written down, they weren't thought about. I just sang, and that's what came out. So that shows you what state of mind I was in. Wow, but it became an anthem. I mean, did it even surprise you? It became an anthem, and now there's stories going around about it, you know, about what it was about. And of course, it is the most ironical thing is that there is no story, because I know that it just came out. So it's purely abstract thought. I didn't think Phil Collins did anything by accident. Everything I do is by accident. And you know, and there's one side of what side of what the press and the media kind of has, this Mr. Perfectionist, you know, this Mr. Professional, polished perfectionist. This is actually the opposite of what I am. I mean, everything when on Testify, the vocals you hear are me in my little studio at home, which is a room probably this size, with just me, nobody else, me singing into a microphone, making up those words that you're hearing there and then. Some of those vocals, like Wake Up Call, I sang. Well, what was your wake-up call? Because as I listened to that song, and it's one of those songs that right away you get it, it's a tune that sticks in your head. Well, but melodically, it makes you wonder, what's your wake-up call? Well, melodically, I kind of, you know, I am pretty good at writing things that feel familiar, or they kind of feel comfortable to you, melodically. I have to own up that. I mean, you know, my grounding is the Beatles, right? And when you hear those songs, when I heard those songs when I was growing up, they all sounded like I knew them already. They kind of, there was nothing that was a surprise. It was just fantastic. But it wasn't a surprise, you know. You kind of feel like, of course, that's fantastic. Not like, oh my God, I've never heard that before. It was like, yeah, I know that. You know, I want to hold your hand. Of course. It's that kind of melody that you feel like you know straight away. And, you know, that's what I was getting at, really. I mean, and if we want to get back into the lyrics, it's because I think we should not go through our life, which some of us do, kind of sleepwalking, because we're kind of, you know, yeah, got to go to work, got to get up, got to go back, you know, go to bed, you know. And it's like there's sometimes you've got to feel that the things are passing us by, and if we don't actually stop and enjoy them, they'll be gone, or we'll be gone.
Well, in Testify, though, there's that one line that's pretty haunting as well, something about every heart
that's ever been broken knows these words should be spoken.
Were you always that way in real life, in a relationship, up front, and I love you, boom, to a person?
Well, yeah, maybe not as much as I should have been, but certainly as you get older, you realise how important that is. I mean, I say to my kids every time I put the phone down, or every time I say goodbye to them, I always say, the last thing I say is I love you, and the last thing they say to me is I love you, because they know that's how I feel. They know that that's what they realise the importance of it. And my son, you know, I mean, it's fantastic. Simon, I always used to say to him, look both ways, Simon, when you cross the road. You know.
Wise advice.
Look both ways, and I love you. And now he says to me, and he's 26, it's all sunk in, he says, love you, Dad. And that's really the best thing you could say. And so when I say, you know, if you have been in that position, and even if you've been in the position where I have been, as you are in the driving seat. I've been in both positions with both my first and second marriages. And I know that, you know, you really got to be honest, and you've got to really speak your mind, and really, if your heart's been broken, then you know that you have to say these things. All these things I'm saying about testifying my love for you and asking you to testify your love for me, all these things should be said, because life is too short.
Do you feel then that you sort of matured, obviously you matured in love, and that follows through with parenting as well? Because here you are traveling with an 18-month-old baby boy, and you've got a
13-year-old, I have a 26, and I have a 30-year-old. Jolie's 30, Simon's 26.
Who, by the way, Canadians are in love with your daughter. You know that from Cold Squad.
It's so nice to come here and people say, hey, Jolie said hi. Well, I love what she does.
She's got the goods on you. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of her. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, it's really, you imagine how it feels, you know, to come into a town where they know your kids. I just left Montreal, and people were saying, we had Simon through here a couple of years ago with his album. What a nice boy, you know? It's like you think, yes, you're proud to be their father, you know.
I want to finish, because I know we're running out of time, but with the song Don't Get Me Started, because as I listen to it, I think, is this Phil Collins commenting on the world events following September 11th?
There's 3 verses, and each verse is about a different aspect. The third verse is about September the 11th. I mean,
what is it? One God...
Well, people, I mean, there's one God against another,
yeah.
you know, while the river of tears run by. I mean, it's these people that just don't... Well, you can't fight someone that doesn't mind dying for what they believe in, you know, so there's no threat. So, and that is the real scary stuff, I think, because I don't see any way out. Because you have Bush, and I love Colin Powell, I think he's a wonderful politician, I have to say, but you have the Bush administration.
And Blair, who is backing Bush.
Yeah. You have those guys that are sort of... Well, Blair's in Bush's pocket, to be honest, you know. He wants to be with the big guys, you know. So, I mean, but there's Bush, basically, who's in charge of the most powerful country in the world, you know, and he's not going to back down, because he'll appear weak. If he appears weak, he will be out. If he's out, he's failed. Because, you know, his personal failure. You know, forget about what's good for the country. And these guys don't care, you know. The terrorists, we'll call them. They don't care, because they obviously will do anything. And you almost feel like if only someone bigger than all of them would come down and say, excuse me, guys, let's talk about this. Because what's going to happen, you know? The only end result of this is we're all going to end up fried.
So we got Phil on politics, we got Phil on humor, we got Phil on lyrics, we got Phil on love, and got Phil on Jolie.
I know.